You, sir, are we
Yes, sir.
audible to you?
Yes, sir,
Sir.
you are
Yes.
audible to me.
Okay.
Am I
Thank
audible
you.
to you,
Thank
sir?
you. Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you so much for sparing your time in the evening.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
हाँ ओके ओके म्यूट अनम्यूट हो रहा है
हाँ. Nirvan, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Just after 2 minutes, we can start.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. It is now 17:58. After 2 minutes, we will start.
Okay, sir.
Right. Nirvan, sir, we can start.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are having an insightful and enriching experience at this AICTE sponsored ATAL Faculty Development Program. It is indeed a privilege to be a part of this informative journey of learning and innovation. We are now moving into technical session 3, and the topic of the technical session 3 is 3D printing and its application in surgical simulation, which is delivered by our guest, Mr. Piyush Uikey. This session promises to provide us with a deeper understanding of how cutting-edge technologies like 3D printing and revolutionizing the biomedical field, particularly in surgical simulation. With the rapid advancement in healthcare, this topic holds immense potential to enhance the precision, reduce risks, and improve outcomes in surgeries. To guide us through this innovative topic, we have the honor of welcoming Mr. Piyush Uikey, a name synonymous with experience in 3D printing and biomedical application. Mr. Piyush Uikey is the founder and director of Numa Osa Medi Equipment Private Limited, incubated at VNIT Nagpur and mentoring by Venture Center Pune. Sir has an experience of over 10 years in 3D printing for biomedical applications. He has completed his engineering from Nagpur University and MTech in CAD/CAM from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Jabalpur. Mr. Piyush Uikey has a key research area are additive manufacturing, product designing for biomedical domain, finite element analysis, computer-aided design and manufacturing, anatomical modeling, and product development. He is also an educator and mentor, have conducted workshops, seminar, and short-term courses on 3D printing and product development. He has invited as a resource person at various STTPs and FDPs in reputed IIT, NIT, and IIIT institutions. Mr. Piyush Uikey has 12 plus publication with 2 patents. He has received highly competitive grant of BRAC, big grant, which is amount of 50 lakh in the year 2020 for developing a proof of concept of an artificial temporal bone. He has an ATAL Innovation Mission Prime Fellow under Niti Aayog flagship program for young entrepreneur. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Piyush Uikey to enlighten us on fascinating application of 3D printing in surgical simulations. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Wonderful introduction. So let's begin with the session. I'll first share the screen.
Okay, sir.
Welcome, Piyush.
Hello, sir. Thank you. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
What?
Okay. Full screen visible.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity to deliver the lecture on 3D printing and its application in surgical simulation. So basically, what I'll do, I'll just try to give you a quick glimpse where exactly the technology is being used in surgical simulation and how the technology is being used. So to begin with, first of all, we should know about the healthcare market in India. So the healthcare market is been categorized into 4 domains. The first one is the patient engagement, followed by healthcare marketing, service distribution strategy, and new product development or the service development. So among this, all the 4 category, the 3D printing and its application is basically catering the 4th application, that is for new product development and the service development. So let's talk about how many products are being manufactured in India. What do you think? How many products are being manufactured in India? I'm talking about the total medical device sector. Any guess in terms of percentage? Like 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%? Okay. So, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So I am more interested in interactive kind of session because the session what I usually take now, if I go on just delivering a talk, so it won't be beneficial for you as well as me, because I don't consider myself as an instructor. I'm still a student who is exploring this technology. So the more we interact with each other, the more we can get into the depth of the technology what we are focusing. So coming back to my question, how many products are being manufactured in India? If we talk about in terms of percentage, so around 80 to 85% of the product are imported. That means only 50 to 20% are the product which are currently being manufactured in India. Rest of all the products are being imported. So this medical device sector, it's an import dependent sector. So we have a very huge potential in this area where we can actually work for something, and we can contribute our knowledge to develop the newer product, which can be useful by the society. Okay. So how we can develop this kind of product? So to develop the product, we can use 3D printing technique. So what exactly is 3D printing? So it's a process in which we convert any digital file into a physical file by adding layer upon layer. So we stack the layer above each, and finally we get the 3D printed part. As we can see here on the image, the part has been printed by adding the layer by layer structure. So if we talk about the process chain of 3D printing, the entire process chain of 3D printing can be bifurcated as first of all, we need the CAD model. Once we have the CAD model, then we convert a CAD model into an STL file. And among the STL file, then we use it to generate a tool part. Then we import a CAD model into the slicing software, do the pre-processing there, add all the parameters, the printing parameter, and we generate the tool part. Then the tool part is been transferred to the 3D printer, where the printer will print the part. Finally, when we get the printed part, we need to do some kind of post processing there, like support removal, surface finishing, and the centering of the part. So all this post processing will be done there. And later on, once the post processing has been done, then we will get the finished part. So this is the entire process here of 3D printing. And out of the entire 3D printing techniques, we have two main techniques which are most widely used, among which the first one is the FDM. So FDM is nothing but a fuse deposition modeling technique, where a heated nozzle will deposit the material. The material will be extruded from the heated nozzle, and it will get deposited on the platform. Here we can see the platform. So this platform will move in the Z direction. This is the extruder assembly which will move in X and Y direction. And these are the heated nozzles from where the filament is going to come out. So what will happen, like this is a this image shows a dual extrusion kind of setup. So one extruder can be used to print a part, and secondary extruder can be used to print a supporting structure. Another application technique is DLP, which is direct light printing. It is similar to SLA kind of technique, where we use the photopolymeric resin to print a part. So what we will do, we will expose the photopolymeric resin with the UV kind of light, and once the material has been exposed to the UV light, then the part is going to get cured. So simultaneously, once at a time, we will enlight the entire layer on the screen, and we will get the part printed. So once the layer has been printed, then the bed will move in the in above Z direction, and so fresh resin will come in between the gap, and again the successive layer will be printed. So likewise, this machine, this DLP technique works. So this setup is bottom up. The movement of the bed is bottoms up. Like from bottom, the bed will move upward, and in FDM, the movement is top to bottom. So initially, the bed will be on the top side of the bed of the machine, and once the layer has been printed, then the bed will move downward. So this is what is happening in FDM. So if we talk about the basic application of 3D printing, is the first application is prosthetic limbs and other body parts. So we can print a customized prosthetic limbs. We can use it to bring to construct homes and other buildings. Like now, 3D printing is widely been used in construction kind of area. We can use it for food 3D printing, the edible 3D printing. We can use it for batch manufacturing. Like now, many of the part, like initially the 3D printing has been used for only prototyping, and now we are moving from prototyping towards the functional printing parts. Then anything, whatever we can imagine, which cannot be made by using conventional kind of techniques. So this thing can be manufactured by using 3D printing techniques. We do have a design freedom. In design freedom, we can customize the entire product line into a single part assembly. Like this is a classic example of a fuel injector nozzle, which has been used in aviation industry. So here in the image, we can see the entire part has been printed as a single part assembly. But if you try to make the same thing with the conventional kind of thing, what will happen? We will need the separate. We will need all the parts as a separate part. Then we are going to assemble it. In assembling, we will use some kind of nuts and bolts, or we can weld the part, or we can do some kind of joining process like gluing or something. So likewise, when we are combining different part, when we are assembling different part, then the weight of the total part is going to be increased. But if we can decrease the entire geometry into a single part assembly, into a single part, single component, then all those the necessity of those nuts and bolts, the welding and other joining thing will be reduced. So what will happen? So we can ultimately reduce the weight of the part, and actually improve the efficiency of the entire system. Then we can reduce the weight. We can do the weight optimization. So in weight optimization, as we can see on the first image, this is the actual part which needs to be fabricated, and this is the optimized weight part. So in optimized part, we will first perform the FE analysis, find the critical area, critical zone from there which needs a higher strength, and we will find the area where the strength is not been needed, and from that area, we can remove the material. So likewise, we can optimize the part geometry, and we can optimize the weight of the part. We can do customization, like custom printing and custom manufacturing is feasible and possible with 3D printing. It is also possible with the conventional process, but with conventional process, it takes some time as compared to 3D printing. Like if we talk about the entire product development cycle, from conventional side, if it takes at least 15 to 20 days to make the prototype, then we can reduce that 15 to 20 days to 3 to 4 days by using 3D printing. And lastly is the heat application, the conformal cooling and heating. So we can use the 3D printing for to make the most efficient heat exchangers, and these heat exchanger have is going to have a very good thermal efficiency as compared to the conventional heat exchangers. So these are all the current scenario where 3D printing is being used. And if there are other applications like these are the generic kind of application, and there are also many medical applications which we are going to discuss in the upcoming slides. So coming towards the timeline of medical 3D printing, so in 1987, the SLA, the first 3D printing technique, is been invented by GHRCE. The actual 3D printing has been invented in 1982, but the first patented technology is SLA by Charles Hull. And in 1992, the first prosthetic limb has been printed. In 1999, followed by 1999, when the first bioprinting experiment has been carried out by the researcher group at MIT. In 2003, the first 3D printed bone model is been used for pre-surgical planning. In 2008, the first bioengineered blood vessel has been printed at Wake Forest University, followed by 2010, when the first dental implant is been actually implanted into the patient, and that which opens up the customization side of thing for the patient. So we can make now we can make the patient specific dental implants, which can be implanted into the patients. In 2011, the first bioprinted human cell is been printed from the scientists at Organova Institute. In 2014, the first 3D printed skull implant has been used for the patient. The first bioprinted skin has been printed in 2016. First 3D printed liver is been developed in 2021, which functions similarly as that of the real human liver, but this has not been implanted within the human body. It is only been printed and tested for the viability and the feasibility. 2022 was a year when the first bioprinted tissues were been printed, such as cartilage and skin, and which can be used for both research and treatment. And 2024, the Organova Institute, they have demonstrated the possibility of printing the 3D printed heart walls. So with their demonstration and feasibility study, now organ printing is feasible, and maybe in the coming future we can actually see some part of the organ which are printed can be transplanted into the patient. So these are all the application of timeline of the biomedical 3D printing. So coming towards the medical classification of the 3D printing, so we can use it for the tissue and organ fabrication. We can use it for customization of the product. We can use to develop the implants and anatomical model, and pharmaceutical research can also be developed by using the 3D printing. Like in pharmaceutical research, we can use it for drug delivery, custom drug doses delivery and discovery side. So the benefit of using 3D printing in medical, sir: customization and personalization. It increases the cost efficiency, it enhances the productivity, and it democratizes and we can use it for larger population. Okay. So coming towards the medical application, the first application is surgical planning. So in surgical planning, we can use these the 3D printing for pre-surgical planning kind of thing. So we can make the custom parts, the patient-specific custom parts, and give it to the surgeon for pre-surgical planning. So the surgeon, they can visualize the part, they can plan the surgery, they can use the model to make the custom guides, or to make the custom surgical plates. Like in orthopedic, they can develop the customized plates. For dentistry, they can use the anatomical model to develop the jigs and fixtures, which can be used while placing the implants. So these are the, like here we can see the surgical guide, which has been used to place the implant. The accurate and the axis in which the screw needs to be inserted can be determined from the guide. So these are all the application for the surgical planning. So basically, if we bifurcate the surgical planning, so we can use it in two kind of bifurcation. So one is patient specific model for pre-surgery, and patient's pathological model. So this pathological model can be given it to the surgeon for training and education side only, and the patient specific model can be used for pre-operative planning, patient education, and post-operative tools. So coming towards the next application is the new medical device and instrument. Like, and we can, as we discuss about the 3D printing process chain, the product development cycle, if you talk about a conventional product development cycle, so it goes from generating the product need towards the product launch. So here we can see the entire process chain for developing a newer kind of product. So first we ideate the product, then the concept is been developed, which is followed by the product development. Then verification and validation has been done, and finally the product has been introduced into the market. So this entire product development cycle takes a huge amount of time to bring the product from the lab into the market. So what we can do with 3D printing, we can reduce the entire process to a very little bit of time. Like we can almost all reduce product development time by 70 to 80%. So here we can also use the 3D printing technique. So next application is affordable processes. In affordable processes, we can customize the 3D printed part based on the patient's need. So if we talk about the conventional process, like this is the example of a below knee prosthesis, which has been developed by using conventional technique. So in conventional technique, what is happening? We need to take the scan. We will first make the cast of the patient. So how we can make the cast? Like we can pour the POP, we can pour the silicons on the patient and take the impression, the positive impression. From the positive impression, we will again make the negative impression. And by using that negative impression, then we will again cast the processes. So this is the entire process for conventional side. It is a very time consuming, and many times it is not a perfect kind of fit, because like in every conversion process, there are some sort of data loss is there. And because of these data loss, the design accuracy is been compromised. So this kind of products are being made, but they are not a perfect fit for the patient. So by using 3D printing, what we can do, instead of going with the conventional side, we can directly do the 3D scan of the patient. And once we get a 3D scan, then we will get the entire CAD model. The virtual CAD model will be prepared into the system. Then we can make the processes, fit the processes virtually within the system, and check for every possible dimensional errors there. And once we get the perfect kind of model, then we will print the processes for the patient. So likewise, we can customize the things for the patient. So the benefits are these are patient comfort is going to be increased a lot, and these kind of model are very cost effective as compared to the conventional side. So another application is the organ printing. So like I have already told you in the timeline section that till now the organ printing is somewhat possible, but if we talk about a few years back, then there were very few chances of getting the organ really printed. The problem is the material. So in organ printing, what we do, we take the raw material from the patient itself. Like the patient's stem cells are being used to generate a bio ink, and then the bio ink will be used to print the parts. So here we have two different kind of techniques. So one is direct 3D printing of the organ, and second one is the through scaffold. Like in this image, we can see the scaffold of the ear cartilage has been prepared, and on this scaffold it's been then transferred into the bio ink, and the bio ink will be absorbed by the scaffold, and the soft tissue will be grow on the scaffold. So this scaffold will act as a supporting structure for the soft tissue to grow. Whereas in the first image, we can see the bio ink has been directly used to make the end part. So this is what is happening in the organ printing. So coming with another application is the customized implant and prosthesis. In customized implant and prosthesis, we can use it to make the patient specific implant. Like if we like here is a classic example of complete knee implant. So in knee implant, many of us have heard that many times, many patients who undergo with the conventional kind of knee replacement techniques, they complain a lot. Even after the surgery, they complain that their surgery is not successful, and they still don't find the kind of a relief what they are expecting with the complete knee implant. Why this is happening? It is happening because these implant are like Each and everyone has a different kind of body structure. Each and everyone has a different physiology, have different bone density and different bone strength. So when we fit this generic kind of implant, so these implants are not the perfect kind of fit for each and every person. So unless and until we customize the solution, we cannot get the complete patient comfort. So this thing is possible with the 3D printing. So the process will be, first we will take the CT scan of the patient. From the CT scan, we need to generate the CAD model. And on the CAD model, by using the same patient-specific CAD model, we will design the customized implants. And these customized implants then will be used for printing, and then will be used in the operation for the implantation process. Another application is personalized drug doses. So in pharmaceutical sector, we have like we can use is to personalize the drug doses. So we have three different classifications. The first is mass personalization. Drug development, like we can use it for the drug development, and we can also use it in case of emergencies. Like in drug development, we can use the 3D printing for optimizing the formulation process, to do the clinical trial, to do the sampling, preclinical studies. And for the personalization, we can do the automatic compounding, mass production. On-demand personalization can also be done, which is not possible with the conventional process. And for the veterinary medicines, we can also use for the veterinary medicines. So coming towards the education and training side, we can use the 3D printing model to make the training kits or the training devices, so that which can be used by the surgeons to enhance their skills. And these kind of models needs to be anatomically accurate, because what is happening, whatever they will learn on these models, the same practice will be translated on the patient. So if we don't give the surgeon or the student a real or near real kind of model for the practice, they cannot enhance their skills. If wrong kind of model has been given to the surgeon, then it which can lead to wrong kind of training, and ultimately the wrong training will be translated into the OT room for the patient. Next application is 3D printing for variable devices. So we can use 3D printing to make the variable industry. Like here is an example of the Adidas. So Adidas has been using the 3D printing to customize the shoes for their athletes, which increases the comfort level for the athlete. And we can also use it to make the flexible on-chip manufacturing, on-chip flexible chip printing. So which can be directly wear by the patient or the user. Another application is 3D printed fracture cast. So this is the fracture cast, conventional fracture cast. So are you we all know about the problem associated with the conventional fracture cast. Like we feel itching, we cannot apply water on that, and the skin breathing is not possible. Why? Because it is completely been wrapped around the arm, so the skin breathing is not at all possible. So with this conventional fracture cast problem can be solved by using 3D printing technique. So in 3D printing technique, what we will do, we will first go through the X-ray and check the critical area where where exactly is the fracture. Then the patient's hand model is going to be 3D scanned, and based on the 3D scan, the fracture cast is going to be designed and printed. And the benefit of fracture cast is like this. Like here we can see we can control the porosity of the design. Like we can control the density of the design. So wherever there is a critical area, that critical area is can be highly dense, and remaining supporting area we can make it as a less density kind of design. So here we can see the skin breathing is also there. So if the skin is breathing properly, then the skin etching problem is not going to be there. As well as these are made up of plastic. So these are completely washable. So we can do the washing kind of thing is possible with the 3D printed fracture cast, which is not possible in the conventional one. Okay. So coming towards the surgical simulation, why surgical simulation has been needed? So it provides the trainee to practice their surgical skill prior entering the operating theater. And surgical simulation is been carried out in two type of model. The first is traditional one and non-traditional. Traditionals are cadaver animal model and a animal models are the traditional one, and non-traditional are mannequin, benchtop models, and some kind of VR based model. So these are all the surgical simulation model, and the benefit is we can get a better patient safety and standard of care for the patients. So if we talk about application of the surgical simulation, so we can use it for minimal invasive surgeries, practicing of the minimal invasive surgeries. The complex surgical technique procedures can be practiced, and we can use it to do the team-based training, and we can use it for pre-operative planning. So these are all the surgical simulation applications. Coming towards the advantages, it enhance the surgeon skills and acquisition, and it has been used for realistic and immersive training environment, and it provides a risk-free practice and error management. The objective assessment and performance tracking can also be done, and team-based training and interdisciplinary collaboration can also be learned by using the surgical simulation and training. And challenges are these kind of models are costly and they are not accessible to each and everyone. Integration of existing surgical training program is also the challenging task. Validation of the model itself is one of the most challenging tasks, because here we are competing with the real human body. So anything which is being made, it has to be validated and standardized as per the real human body, which is currently the one of the most difficult tasks in the surgical simulation. And there are certain ethical consideration which needs to be taken care uh, before going with the surgical simulation. And maintaining and updating of the simulation technology is also the challenging task. So currently, the surgical simulation is being carried out into 4 domains. The first one is the augmented reality simulation, virtual reality simulation, physical simulation, and cadaveric training. So these are the current scenario on which the surgical simulation is been carried out, and out of which the first two needs the software-based kind of design. And in the physical simulation, we can integrate the software with the physical model, or we can also provide them the actual physical model to do the hands-on practice. And the fourth one is the cadaver training. Cadaver is nothing but the actual human body which has been used to do the hands-on practice. So if we talk about the problems with the cadavers, there are many problems associated with the cadaver. Like, do you really think that we can easily get a cadaver to do the hands-on practice? The availability of cadaver is very limited. How one can acquire the cadaver? If someone needs to acquire the cadaver for the training purpose, so they first of all need to apply to the medical board. They'll seek certain kind of permission from the medical board, and once they get a permission from the medical board, then they will get the regulatory approval from the healthcare department, from the ministry, and after getting all those healthcare departments, then only they can get a cadaver. So the process of acquiring the cadaver is quite challenging process, and it needs a lot many approvals before procuring any cadaver. And even the availability of cadaver is also limited, because like not each and every dead body can be used for the training purpose. So whatsoever is the body which has been donated for the medical research purpose, or the unclaimed body in the accidental case, so only those bodies or the cadavers can be used for the training purpose. So the first step is like these models are being noted into the research center. Like availability of this cadavers are being noted into the research center for the use of training. And once the institute got all the regulatory approvals, then only they'll approach to this kind of research center from where they can acquire the cadaver, and then they will use the cadaver to do the hands-on practice. And in India, only 15% student gets a chance to do the hands-on practice, because only one cadaver is available for 15 students to do the hands-on practice. And the cost of maintenance for cadaveric lab is also quite high, because this kind of cadavers needs to preserve in formalin solution. There's some sort of chemical preservations are being needed, and in which the body has been preserved. So to maintain such kind of lab is also costly affair. And once the body has been used for the training purpose, then disposing of cadaver is also a challenging task. So these are all the challenges or the problems which have been associated with the cadaveric dissection. So coming towards the impact, if the surgeon do lack the surgical training, then it can have a negative impact on the trainee emotional well-being and their professional practice. Why is this happening? Because if the surgeon is not been properly trained, then their confidence level is going to be reduced a lot. They won't be confident enough to treat the patient, and with the low confidence, there are chances of some sort of medical errors. And because of this medical error, they'll not treat the patient with a full efficiency, and because of which there is a negative impact on the emotional well-being. So suppose if the surgeon is not doing a good practice on the patient will tell to the another patient that this surgeon is not good, which ultimately reduces the patient's inflow, and these all things reduces the credibility of the surgeon. So to improve the credibility, the skills of the surgeon needs to be increased, and to increase the skills of the surgeon, the surgical training is been needed. So coming to the impact, around 35% of the surgeries needs to unplanned readmission. So if we talk about the revision surgery, so 35% of the surgeries are revision surgeries, 20% medical error are due to malpractice claims, and which increases the patient cost for almost all 3 times. So the current surgical practice is read, observe, and operate, where the practice term is been missing. So it has to be read, observe, practice, and then operate. And if the surgical training has been properly implemented, then the surgical complication can be reduced by almost all 50%. Okay. So these are some of the companies which are working in the healthcare sector in India. So coming towards the case study of New OSA. So what exactly, first I'll tell you what exactly is New OSA. So at New OSA, we are working towards the educating the medical fraternity with enhancing their surgical skills. So we do conduct the surgical training workshops. We provide them the surgical training toolkits, as well as the facility to do the hands-on practice. So these are all the verticals where we are working. So currently we have 3 verticals. So the first one is the surgical training kits, which can be used by the students to do the hands-on practice to enhance their surgical skill at their own place. The another vertical is the training courses. In the training courses, we conduct the training courses where the faculty and the facilities been provided, and student can come and do the hands-on practice to enhance their skills. And the third vertical is the customization of the patient-specific model. So in customization of the patient-specific model, so they can actually like we take the CT scan from the patient, make the customized model for the surgeon. Surgeons then they can use the model for the pre-surgical planning, and once they are confident enough with the surgery, then they can do the surgery. So the benefit of using the pre-customized model is the surgical training time can be reduced, the surgical complexity can be reduced, and the patient recovery time can also be reduced. So these are all the benefit of the customizations. Okay. So coming towards the problem and need identification. So our challenge was to develop an artificial ear bone, which has all the internal and external anatomical feature as that of the real bone. Like, what do you think? Suppose if we are cutting a butter and cutting a jelly. So if I'm cutting a butter with a knife and cutting a jelly with a knife, so am I going to get the same kind of filling in both the times? Like which one will be hard to cut, the jelly or the butter? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah. So if you want, you can type on the chat box. Okay. So butter is going to be the challenging task. Like butter will be quite hard as compared to the jelly. Okay. So now you imagine the same scenario. Like if I am cutting or drilling a bone and I'm drilling a plastic. So which will be more hard? Drilling a bone will be hard or drilling a plastic will be hard? Drilling a bone is going to be hard. The same thing is happening. Suppose if we provide a surgeon with a plastic kind of model to do the hands-on practice, and they are repeatedly doing the practice on the plastic model, so what will happen? Their brain will be automatically tuned to apply certain kind of force to drill the plastic material. And when they will translate this knowledge into the actual OT, when they are going to drill the bone, so at that time, what will happen? They are more practiced or more inclined towards drilling the plastic, and suddenly they will drill the both the harder material. So their haptics will be lost. So they are habitual to apply a certain kind of pressure to get the material drilled out. And when they're translating the same thing on the bone, so the same force will not be applicable to drill the bone. Okay. So if we want to give the surgeon a realistic kind of filling to drill the bone, then we need to make a bone-like material. Okay, that's why dissecting cadaver is one of the best technique to enhance the surgical skills, because it comes the most closest to the actual human being while translating the practice from surgical training towards the real practice. Okay. So coming towards the again problem identification. So current surgical practice has been done on two kind of models. The first one is dissecting a cadaver bone, and the second one is the dissecting by using virtual simulator kind of technique. So in cadaver, we cannot do the repeated kind of dissections. Is very limited number of cadavers are available, and the VR based kind of model, they do lack the haptic feedback. So we are not going to get the real kind of feeling what we will get while doing the physical drilling and the bone cutting. So these are the two problem identification. From this problem identification, we could find out that there is a need to develop an artificial model which has all the internal and external anatomical features, as well as the this one is for the geometric design point of view, and from the physical point of view, we need the material which has the properties close to the real bone, so that they can get the real kind of filling while doing the dissection practice, while doing the bone drilling and bone cutting kind of operation. So these are all the challenges what we could have faced, and from the challenge we had formalized the problem, and from the problem we came up to the proposed solution. So the proposed solution is the artificial ear bone. So this is the ear bone which has been designed. So the ear bone has all the internal features which needs to be there, like the spongy bone is there, the ossicle, the middle ear section, the inner ear section, eardrum, all the nerves, vessels, veins, arteries, everything has been incorporated in the model. And also we have developed the model with certain kind of pathologies. So these pathological models are being given to the surgeon, to the new student who cannot get chance to do a complicated cases. So this is how the first part has been recovered, where the model has been made. So to make the CAD model, the process what we use is like we first imported the CT scan data, we organize the data, and then by applying certain kind of thresholding, we could get the initial CAD model. Then from the initial CAD model, then we did the post processing and cleaning. And after that, we exported a CAD model. We did some kind of error removal from the STL file. And finally, we could get the virtual assembly of the soft tissue model, virtual assembly of the bony model. And the same process has been used to make the soft tissue as well. And ultimately, once we get all the CAD models all together, or the components of the CAD model all together, then we will do the virtual assembly of the bone and the soft tissue model. So this is the entire process flow chain for making the CAD model. So this is the CT scan what we use to develop the models. Then importing the CT scan into the Mimic software. In the Mimic software, then we have applied certain kind of thresholding, like bone thresholding, soft tissue thresholding, muscles, tooth, enamel, like how the thresholding is work. So when we take the CT scan is nothing but a stack of multiple X-rays, and that X-rays has top view, side view, and front view, as we have in the engineering side. So which are being known as axial, sagittal, and coronal. Okay. So when we do the thresholding, we need to select a particular range in which the bone is going to lie. Like for if you want to highlight only the bony part, then we will select the thresholding for the bone. If you want to highlight the soft tissue part, then we will select the thresholding for the soft tissue part. Likewise, we can get the model. So this is the model what we got, the bony model of the entire skull. And after this entire skull, our main region of interest is the ear bone. So this is the main region of interest. So we removed all the unnecessary part. We removed the debris. We removed the noises there, and finally we get the ear bone. So this is the ear model what we got after the pre-processing into the software. So now the 3D model has been generated. Now we will convert the 3D model into an STL file and export it for the further studies. And for the further processing, in further processing, we again did some kind of error removal process and use the model to print a part. So this is the bone which has been printed, and this bone has been printed with the soft tissue like with the uh, lifelike patent pending material. These all are lifelike material which are made up of patent pending bone-like material and the soft tissue-like material. And it has all the internal and external anatomical feature. Here we can see the arteries, the nerves, the vessels, and inside is the eardrum. And this yellow part which has been marked here is the pathological bone. So we developed the entire model into the 4 modules. That is adult healthy model, adult pathological model, pediatric healthy model, and pediatric pathological model. So these 4 models are been prepared, and on these 4 models, 10 plus surgeries can be practiced. So the features of the product are we can use the maximum drill force of 700. The minimum drill force of 700 Newton can be used. These are made up of bone-like material, and it can withstand a high speed drilling. Like while doing the drilling, high speed drilling, heat generation, localized heat generation is there on the drill bar, which ultimately melts the material. Suppose if the same thing is been made with a plastic kind of material, so due to high speed drilling and localized heat generation, the plastic will melt there itself, and we are not going to get an exact kind of drilling and cutting kind of feeling. And we have the material has a very good heat dissipation. Pathological models are also made, and these are multi-material kind of models. And the value proposition are we can do the multiple dissection. It is 60% cost saving as compared to the conventional side. These are made up of eco-friendly and multi-materials. Biomechanical material is there, and these are free from infectious agent. Like since these are made up of artificial non-toxic material, we don't need to preserve it in any kind of chemical preservation. So we also don't need those kind of fancy and highly maintenance dissection labs as we needed in the cadavers. And these kind of model can also be practiced anywhere. Like if the surgeon they have the basic facility with them, even at their home, like so they can do the surgical practice. So for ear kind of surgery, we need only the ear loop and the drill machine with us. So if the surgeon they have the ear eye loops and the drill machine, so they can even practice at a home. So which has not been feasible and possible with the cadavers. So benefit to the user are 10 plus surgeries can be practiced, easy lab setup. These are easily available and easy to dispose, and very few precautions are being needed. Okay. So this is the uh, founding team of NeoSA. So I am Piyush. I'm currently taking care of the technical side. So I'm the CTO of the company, and I look forward for the R&D side. Dr. Luli and Dr. Prashant Naik are MSc ENT, and they help us with the clinical validation and the clinical needs kind of thing. Dr. Subhash is from pharmaceutical background, who is looking for the regulatory kind of regulatory approval needs. and Dr. Rashmi, she is a professor at VNIT, who is also advising us with the R&D side. And we are currently incubated at VNIT. And we also received a grant from BIRAC and got support from various institutes to do the research. Okay. So these are all the applications for surgical simulation and practice. So now I would request you to start to begin with the interactive kind of session. Like if you have any questions, so you can ask, and I'll try to answer the question with the best of my knowledge.
Sir, there is a question from Sudhir Kini. Is it safe to use titanium alloy TI6 AL-4V for orthopedic implants, as vanadium cytotoxic leads to Alzheimer's disease?
Yes, sir. Currently, titanium alloy is one of the most safest kind of material which has been used for implanting process. Like we can also use the nickel chromium or SS implants, but SS implant and nickel chromium implant, they tends to get rusting, and the acceptability rate of SS is quite less as compared to TI6AL4V. So of course, TI6AL4V is the best material which is available there for the implant side.
Okay. Another question from Ashish Desai. Shape memory alloy is possible?
Shape memory alloy are possible. Like they're basically used for bone regeneration kind of thing. Like suppose what is happening now, if certain area where bone needs to be regenerated, so there we can use the shape memory alloys. So
Another question
Mhm.
by Vidya Nisha. Which is the low cost biomaterial that is available in India can be used for bone model printing?
uh, if we talk about the cost point of view, the cost usually varies because none of the biomaterial is been manufactured in India. So these all are imported from outside India, mostly from the US and the Europe. So the cost usually varies. And the best material can be used is the calcium alloys. The calcium carbonate composites are being used for making the bones.
Okay.
Another question from Dr. Pankaj Wankhede. How should we decide the porosity in the implant before printing?
The porosity of the implant can be decided. It basically is been decided based on the application where exactly the implant is going to be used. Suppose if we talk about the knee implant or the femur implant, there the maximum body weight is going to be exerted on the knee as well as the femur bone. So there, if we print the implant with a very less porosity, then it will not solve the purpose of the weight bearing capacity. So certain kind of FEA analysis can be done, uh, like whatever the weight is going to be applied, whatever the forces are going to be applied there on the implant, on the area where the implant has been used. So by using the FEA technique, we can optimize the design, and likewise we can optimize the porosity of the implant.
Another question by Sudhir Kini. Which 3D printing is superior for oseo integration of bone implants?
Uh, For osseointegration, we have to take, like if you're going with the metal side, then SLM can be used. And if you are going with the scaffold, the bony scaffold, which are biodegradable, then we need to use the direct ink printing method.
Okay. Another question by Mr. Muthu Kumar V. What are steps in converting DICOM file into 3D design of implant? How we can analyze the implant before 3D printing?
Okay. So here we have two questions. The first one is what are the steps for converting the DICOM into the 3D file? So the steps to convert a DICOM into the 3D file is I have shown you in the PPT. I'll again show you. So the first step is we need to import the DICOM file into the CAD modeling software, which is a Mimics. And once we get a CAD model, then we need to make the masks. Like these are all the masks which have been prepared. So we can prepare a bony mask, we can prepare the soft tissue mask, and all these masks are going to be prepared upon based on the threshold values. Like the bone has a different threshold value, the soft tissue has a different threshold value. So after selecting the proper kind of threshold value, we can create a mask, and then the mask has been used to create a virtual 3D model. So this is how the virtual 3D model has been prepared. And once the model has been prepared, then we can to analyze the thing, we can use the same implant to do the FEA analysis, where the real time forces and forces can be exerted on the implant, and we can do the FE analysis on the implant, based on which we can analyze the thing. And if we think like we need to optimize the weight or certain other kind of optimization needs to be there, so those things can be done in FEA side. And if you're talking about the analysis in terms of 3D printing, then that thing we need to rely mostly on the user point of view, like how much weight, like what is the best possible orientation to print the part, and how much weight of the part is going to be there. Accordingly, we need to generate a support kind of structure. Insufficient support structure or improper orientation will lead to print failure or rough kind of surfaces. So these analysis needs to be done. For force analysis, FEA software will be used. For printing analysis, it is mostly based on the judgment of the user who is going to print the part.
Another question by Praveen Ghandore: is there any standards are available for to use AM product in biomedical applications?
Currently, like there are no standards. Uh, if you're talking about the regulatory standards, so there are no defined regulatory standards for AM application, but still some kind of research work is going out. Like currently, the US FDA is taking care about the like they're preparing a draft which they're planning to float to regulate the application of the AM. Why this is happening is na, since in biomedical application for AM, we are customizing the each and every part. So when we are customizing the each and every part, so we cannot, like when we are defining a standard, we define the standard for the mass production. Suppose if we have defined a certain kind of process, so we write an SOPs, how the product is going to be made, what kind of precautions we need to cater while we need to take care of while making the product, what kind of precautions we need to take care of while assembling the product, while doing the sterilization or while dispatching the product. So all these things are regulated there, and based on which the standards are been applied. But in AM, we don't have any kind of regulations there. Like suppose if I own the metal 3D printer, if I print it at my home and deliver it to the patient, then where I'm going to regulate those standards. And because of these challenges, the current AM industry has not been regulated with any kind of standards. But still, US FDA they are coming up with a draft. I think in 2025 they'll come up with the final draft, which will have certain kind of regulatory kind of thing while working in the biomedical side.
Another question by Dr. Umera Banu: which material is used for heart model to perform heart surgery?
Like I'm confused. If you're talking about the heart 3D printing, then for 3D printing, they're using the patient's own stem cells to print the organs, to print the heart model. Why? Because what is happening? That suppose if two different patients are there, and if you talk about the current scenario, if someone is undergoing a kidney transplant, so what they're doing, what the current process is, the donor and the receiver. So first they'll match certain kind of medical report of the donor and receiver. If the receiver is compatible with the donor thing, then only he can take the then only the kidney can be transplanted. The same thing is here. Suppose the chances of rejection is quite high, since both the bodies are biologically different. But if I'm using the same stem cells, the same biological cells of the donor of the receiver itself to print the part, then the chances of rejection is going to be reduced a lot. So here we use the same patient stem cells to make the heart models.
Okay, another question by Maharajan. Whether biomaterial 3D printed products needs any surface coating for any increase in surface quality?
They do definitely need surface coating to improve the surface quality. Like either we can do a material surface coating, or we can do the machining kind of thing to improve the surface finish of the part.
Another question by Priya Ranjan. 3D printing technologies are used in dentistry.
Dentistry is one of the biggest adapter of 3D printing technology as a real-time use. Like people are using it to print dentures, to make the custom crowns, and even for the pre-surgical guide, to make the pre-surgical guides. So these are all the application where 3D printing is being used. Like one of the fastest and the most adaptive in the medical sector who have adopted the 3D printing is the dentistry.
Another question by Pratik Joshi. Currently, which company machines you are using for 3D printing? What is the accuracy level of printed material? And what is the average lifespan of the component?
So
Three questions are there.
yeah. So currently, like we have customized the 3D printing machine since we are printing the bone-like material. So it's a composite material which has some kind of minerals which are there within the material. So the mineral composites, it is impossible for the conventional machines to process this kind of composites. So we need to upgrade the machine according to as per our need. So our technical team, they have updated the entire system to get the custom material printed. So all the machines are customized one, and the level of accuracy is if you're using the liquid kind of 3D printing technique, then the level of accuracy is 50 microns. If you're going with the FDM technique, then the level of accuracy is 100 micron. An average lifespan of a component, it depends on the use. The average lifespan is almost all 2 to 3 years. These are defined based on the average print hours. So, like our liquid machine works accurately for almost all minimum 5,000 hours of print, and FDM gives us 10,000 hours of print without any hassle free.
Then another question by Ashish Sonekar. Is the Mimic software readily available to use, or we have to go for the paid version only?
Mimic software, we need to go with the paid version only. We don't have any free version.
But I would means request Ashish Sonekar. We have the Mimic software and we are open for that. You can use and come to our college. You can use. We will not charge anything for that, basically. So you are invited to our college for the same. We have the paid version with us. Then another question by Vidya Nisha. If we are planning to make a bone which is with tumor mass, is it possible to print the exact model with that tumor mass? Will material vary to print that bone and tumor part? Which biomaterial mimic the tumor mass?
Like in this session, we have discussed only about the two techniques. One is FDM and another one is the DLP. So first of all, we understand about the limitations of these two technologies. The DLP machine is the machine can be used to print only one material at a time. FDM machine can be used to print two materials at a time. So we can customize, we can assign two different kind of material on two different nozzles, and we can print like suppose the first nozzle can be used to make the bone part, the second nozzle can be used to make the soft tissue tumor part. But again, the challenge is how much is the density of the tumor mass? Like if you talk about a tumor mass, it is quite a softer rubber. It is very, very, very soft rubber. And the flexible part, which we can print by using FDM, has of around 60 to 75 Shore A. and tumor has a hardness of around 0 to 5 shore A. So there is a huge gap between these two materials. So with the existing technique, we cannot do multi-material printing with FDM and DLP. But if you want to go the entire thing as a single part, then you need to switch it to the multi-jet printing technique, which has been offered by 3D Systems. So in multi-jet 3D printing, what they are doing is like they have 14 different sets of nozzles, and all the nozzles are being assigned with a different kind of material. All the sets heads have different material but different material properties. Like suppose a nozzle head have a hardest material, and the 14th one has a softest material, which has a softness of around 10 to 15 shore A. Okay, so we can and then they have a mixer in between prior printing, like prior coming to the printing nozzle, they have a mixer where they can mix and match this material to get optimum properties. So if you're using with multi-jet kind of printing, then yes, you can get the part printed with the exact model with that tumor mass as a single setting. But if you're using FDM or DLP kind of technique, then you cannot get the entire thing printed as a single part.
Yeah, another question by Mr. Praveen Dhandore. Which kind of case study should be followed by researchers while to start working in biomedical applications?
So for the case study, I would recommend, I would suggest you to go with the application side first, like like biomedical has a very vast application. So my current expertise is on the surgical simulation and training. So we work only for the surgical training side. So we are not into the patient's implant. So if you're planning to go with the patient implant, then you need to start digging with the material side, the compatibility test, the toxicity and cytotoxicity test. All those things are going to be needed. But if you want to work on the medical education and training side, then you need to work on the material side, which mimics the actual human bone properties. So
Yeah,
you need to follow.
Yeah, continue, sir. Continue.
Yeah, so you need to follow the research case studies based on the application what you're targeting.
Another question by Dr. Y.M. Sonkhaskar. Please suggest few biocompatible and flexible 3D printing materials.
There are like as far as I know, flexible biocompatible material. The flexible biocompatible material is the silicon. It is one of the best biocompatible material which has been used. But 3D printing with the silicon is one of the most challenging tasks. Only in India, only one company is there in Pune, which has been known as Prayastha 3D. So they are the first one who have achieved the 3D printing of silicon, or else you need to do the rapid tooling. It's another kind of a technique, 3D printing technique, in which we make the pattern by using 3D printing. Then the cast will be made by using the same 3D printed pattern. Once we remove the pattern, then we will pour the silicon material into it, and we will get the end product as a silicon product. So that is how we can make the compatible flexible parts by using rapid tooling. But direct 3D printing is currently the challenging task.
Yeah. Another question by Muthu Kumar. How do generate lattice structure of implant using any software?
To generate a lattice structure, you need to use the mesh mixture. In mesh mixture, we have the option to make the lattice structure. And mesh mixture is an open source software. So you can freely download it from from Autodesk website, and you can use that software to generate a lattice structure.
So thank you so much, sir. There are no other questions, and they are appreciating your presentation. It was really, really a resourceful presentation. Even we have got so many new things to know and carry forward, and we will require your help uh, means all the time. And I would request means you to come to our college whenever you find a time and guide us further to use this mimic software to the fullest extent. Even you can send people, those who need the Mimic software. We will not charge anything. They can use that facility which is available at our college. We have received that with the funding of AICTE in the RPS, sir. Thank you so much for
Great, sir.
joining and sparing your valuable time and sharing the thoughtful presentation, which has really guided the participants and even organizers also. A lot of
Thank you so
people
much,
are
sir.
appreciating this presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Really nice.
Sir, thank you, sir. May I know, sir, what version you have in Mimics? If you know the version.
Sir, I'll take 1 minute. Till that time, Abhay will
Or
continue with your discussion.
sure, sir. Because that would be beneficial for me as well as the participants
Yes.
to use the
It
software.
is means it will just take 1 minute. I'll just go through that.
Or else, sir, you purchased it recently or what?
No.
Just
In
3 years back.
2019.
3 years back.
2019, na?
3 years.
Yeah.
3
Okay.
years.
So you might be having 2019 version then. They
19 version.
their version comes as per the year. So
2019 version.
yeah.
18,
They
18
have
19.
given the updates for 2 years basically. And then now we have not taken the updates, but it is a perpetual license.
Yeah. Anyways, like it's 2021 is the best version for the Mimics.
Yeah.
नहीं, उसके पहले का है 19
अपडेट कर ही दिया होगा सर उन्होंने, अगर 19 के बाद भी 2 साल सपोर्ट किया है तो.
Yeah, because we are working, so when it's not giving a kind of update right now, it is
Venkatesh.
updated. Yeah. So we have also done some PG projects.
You can.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. He can update the latest information on Mimics because he is using much more than us, because he is my student, Mr. Venkatesh Naidu. He is doing PhD in this biomedical domain in the dentistry area using Mimic software. Even he has received the grant from the Nagpur University under the RGSTC scheme for building up the complete setup. So I would now request Venkatesh to just talk on that and tell the latest version to Mr. Piyush, sir.
Good evening, Piyush sir. We had Mimics 23.0, and after update we have Mimics 24.0.
Oh, great, sir. So like that thing can be used by the participants as well.
Yes. So and we will need the help for our project work also, which we are doing with Venkatesh Naidu. He is also energetic fellow. So he is using basically the Mimics to the fullest extent. Another PhD student is there, Mr. Pramar Bakane, but he is not able to spare the time much more. He is doing the work in the orthopedic area with Dr. Prashant Rathi. And he is doing with Dr. Nakul Rathi and Dr. Harish Rathi.
That's nice,
who are the dental surgeon. Yes.
Thank you for the information, sir.
Thank you.
I think the questions are over.
Yeah. Right. Over to the Nirvan sir.
Thank you so much, Uikey sir, for that inspiring and highly informative session. It is amazing to see how 3D printing is bridging the gap between imagination and innovation in the medical field. On the behalf of everyone, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to Uikey sir for sharing his expertise with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Piyush, and all the best for your startup and the work which you are doing, carrying on.
Thank you, sir.
Myself and Khalatkar sir will personally visit and come to your that office, and
Yeah,
we'll
I
have
have
further
visited, sir.
strengthening the bond, because he has done, means he has taken all the efforts. Khalatkar sir has taken all the efforts to talk to all resource persons and get their time and consent and everything. So a lot of pain he has taken to means talk with all resource person, and he has really means what I should say, identified the means gem persons in this domain area, 3D printing and biomedical area applications. Basically. Thank you, sir.
And fortunately, we are from the same institute, sir. IIIT DM.
Yeah.
He was doing MTech under
Correct.
London, sir.
Yes, yes.
Dr.
That really helps. That means the
And
bond and the same. If you have the same alma mater and you have the friendship which is being continued, so it creates a really means a friendly atmosphere. Basically means
Correct, sir.
Because at this odd hour also you are sparing the time, that shows your dedication towards the subject, and even means the means you give the weightage to your relations, basically. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
thank you, Piyush. Okay.
Even
sir.
earlier also we had, sir, AICTE, STTP. Even in that also
Yeah,
you have delivered the session.
Yes, sir.
4 years back, I think so. It was.
Yes,
It was
that was the
session.
offline one.
Offline.
That
For
was offline,
15 days. It was 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It was
Correct.
AICTE short-term training program, which I
short-term.
received, and that time also even Khalatkar sir took lot of efforts. And that time we had one more person who was working in 3D printing area. That time, क्या नाम था खलत्कर सर उनका?
Vishal Francis.
Vishal Francis.
Vishal Francis. Yes.
Vishal was also.
Vishal was also there. Correct.
He is in now LPU.
LPU.
Yes. Yeah.
LPU में है Vishal, yeah. We are in that IIIT group, so वो अच्छा है. He was here also.
Right.
So anyway,
So,
Piyush, चलो.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
So instructions for participants: you can take the break for 15 minutes, and the next session will be at 7:30 p.m. and details will be shared by Khalatkar sir.
Yeah. Now the next session is from Dr. Narendra Kumar. Okay. So he is from NIT Jalandhar, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar National Institute of Technology, Jalandhar. So his expertise is also on the pallets making by 3D printing and all. So definitely that session will be again. I hope the wonderful session and very informative for everybody, those who are here. So yes, you just consider a 15-minute break and we will meet again. Okay, thank you.